Okay, everybody. So it is late slash early morning, or late night, early morning, whatever. So where we left off, I was taking apart the keys. I was taking apart the clarinet, and looks very nice sheen to it. So I buffed these a bit. You can still see there's some pink there and everything, but unfortunately, it is what it is. I don't want to go too hard and remove the plating, so we're gonna let it fly. We're gonna let it fly. We're gonna let it ride. I also went ahead and did that tenon, the tenon cork. Obviously, like I said, I don't have any paraffin wax. Doesn't look the best, but using, and like I said, it's using old cork. This is cork from when I went to Red Wing, the band instrument repair program. So this has got to be a couple years old, and by a couple, 1 to 3. So let's see. Here's a scrap piece I got from a friend back in the day. Let me see if I have any thick pieces, because like I said, for that one key, we're gonna want a thick piece. And if you don't know, this is, word to the wise. Cork is, well, I hate to say extremely expensive, but it's pretty expensive nowadays. So, you want to make do with what you have. And, well, looking at this on my table right now, I will keep that out on the table. I'm kind of well off on cork, I'll say, for now. And like I said, this is older cork. Compare this to the newer stuff that I have. You can see this is newer stuff. This is leftover from the tenons. It's very pliable. If I pull, it's not gonna crack. Whereas with these, they're pliable. They're pliable for sure. But you can feel their age. When you felt enough cork, like me, you can feel the age in them. I don't know. It's a hard feeling to describe, but you can tell there's different thicknesses here. None of these are gonna fit for what I need. I'll use this one for tenon corks, so I'll leave that one out on the bench. We're just gonna put the rest of these in my little bag. Here are things, I think this is from Allied, of course. But these are the cork numbers, so that's fine. These smaller pieces though, I was looking at them and they're kind of large. I don't know if they're larger than this. The best way, well, I say the best way, but the way that I like to look at cork is I stack them up against each other and I feel if there's a ridge. If there's a ridge, I know this one's bigger. And I'll go ahead and do that with all of them. These are about the same. This has glue on it, so I'm just gonna turn it upside down. They're about the same. So these are all about the same. So it really depends right here on which one I want to use first. And so like I said, this is the tenon cork that I had. And, well, how about that? It's thinner than that cork. Oh, off screen, right? It's thinner than that cork, the old cork, or the old new cork. Very confusing. But we're gonna let, like I said, most of this fly. I think we're gonna end up using that cork. I'm gonna angle this a little bit down. So that's gonna be too small. So I'm just gonna toss these back in my bag, put it off to the side. I'm also gonna get my, like I said, 3 or 2 years ago, I was in school. So this is, that's not to say I haven't done clarinets. I've been doing clarinets. I've just been using different cork. And speaking of, now's the perfect chance to talk. I'm gonna move my flute here. Now's the perfect chance to talk about this. This is key cork. Well, it's synthetic key cork, particle key cork, you could say. You can really see, just by looking at it, all the different little corks that have been ground up and put into this. Well, more or less. That's the simplest way of doing it. And yeah, but this is synthetic. It's not like this natural cork, you know, not straight from the tree, but, you know, it still works, but it's synthetic. They call this gummy cork, like G-U, yeah, like G-U-M-M-I, and all that. I don't smoke, by the way. I'm just that good. But yeah, gummy cork. Keep that in mind. You can always use this if you need to. And like with normal cork, it comes in different thicknesses. You can hardly tell, but trust me when I say different thicknesses. I used this for tenon, this for key corks. I ended up just going back to natural because, you know, I just prefer it nowadays. I prefer natural cork and felt, and this is 1/32 cork. So this is one of the standards. You have 1/32 and then 1/16, which is probably what this is. Well, if not, this is hell, I don't know. It's too late for me to be thinking about that. Either way, so since we have our, you know, key cork and felt out, quickly gonna use this first. So, like with everything that I have here, regardless of it being synthetic, natural, or felt, like I said, I still need to reconstitute it. Don't shoot me. I like to preload it. I like to preload it and just load it up with glue, and using that trick that we all know and love, we're just gonna heat up the glue. Well, actually, in this case, I'm gonna do it traditionally. We're gonna let this dry, and let's see, where is it? No, that's not it, but we also need to do that one. I like doing the thicker ones first. We're gonna add some of this cork or contact cement on this touch piece. And we're just gonna let that dry. We're gonna let that dry for, I don't know, a while. I usually eyeball these things, unfortunately. So if you ask me, oh, you know, what's your thickness? What's your blah, blah, blah? I only know what's shown. I only know what I see and what I believe. So we could use this cork for this key. Now this is gonna hit the post on the lower joint, right here, more or less, once everything's all put together. So as long as there's some kind of cork, now here's the thing. When this is on the clarinet, you know, it moves up and down. The cork being thicker will determine the opening of this pad. So the pad could go all the way up there if there's no cork. If there is cork, a stopper, it'll stop any height differences or something. Look, like I said, it's late, but the cork will keep that pad opening from being too much or too little. It depends. You could always sand down the cork or get a thicker one or whatever. So we're gonna go with the thickest that I have, which would also be this cork right here. And it's bad to leave your contact cement open, but that's probably why it's thickened up for me. Luckily, if it ever dries out, you can reconstitute it. I have some thinner. I have some specific thinner for this contact cement. Unfortunately, it's a pain to take the top off and all that. But if this ever dries up, luckily, you know, you just throw it if you want to, and get a new one. Let's see. What I have been doing is, once I get low enough, okay, I can just drop everything everywhere. Once I get low enough, or I need to get more, I just grab this big flipping thing and pour some in there. Now, I'm not going to open this. I would, but I hope that came through well. But luckily, this is still liquid, so I don't got to worry about that. While I was reaching my hand over there, I noticed this. I don't know if I brought this up, but this was with one of the, let me see, I think it was with the master model. Or no, this is the master model. It was with the Series 10. Just a cork trimmer, and or not a cork trimmer, a reed trimmer. So if you wanted yours shortened or whatever, stick it in like this and follow the slot, put it in the slot, and then it's like trimming your nails. It's a neat little thing, and well, yeah, pretty neat. Just wanted to show y'all that, show y'all my little trinkets. Well, either way, so these are still drying. We're gonna let those be. While we're looking for ones that need cork, we're also just separating them. And with these ones, I'll always just put them back together. No one likes to stay separated from their, well, this is, they were made for each other, right? So I'm just gonna slot them back in, hunky-dory dandy. And you'll also notice that compared to some other keys, these are all backwards. That's just their style. You know, you could have them like this, but most of the time, more often than not, I'm not gonna risk it, but basically these would be going the other way. It makes no difference to me. I'd be surprised if any clarinet player out there is like, I don't like my flat springs going this way on an R13 or a master model in this case. If there is someone that says that, who are you and where do you come from? Either way, on this key, most people go cork. I'm gonna go felt, so I'm gonna leave it down there. So like I said, we're separating, that's fine. This one has a cork, so it did survive the chem clean. That's fine. This obviously does, well, you could put a cork there. There is a cork there, but we're gonna hope to God and pray that that we don't need it, that we don't need the cork. Hopefully the pad protrusion and all that cool stuff are gonna bail us out. So, like I said, we're hoping. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. That's what I say. Now, if you're doing a repad, you take off all the key corks, all of the pads, everything. You take everything off. Now, a problem you will run into, if you don't, is when you come to buff these, your cork's gonna get a little dark. Now, if you're lucky, which I usually am, you just grab yourself a razor, just shave off a very thin layer. And at the very least, you'll have some nicer looking cork. That's fine, you know, but, you know, I guess maybe I'm a hack. But if it's still useful, you're still, and also cork, we're running out of cork like helium. So, you know, save whatever little bit you can. I'm not saying to cut edges. I'm saying just be thoughtful and mindful when using cork. But I don't know. Anything I see, I just wipe down. Everything is fine. I'm not seeing anything worth fretting over. But as we come to this, that's, like I said before, these usually are cut up to chunky or blocky. And I'll go touch up, maybe, if I'm good enough here. Like I said, a lot of people do this kind of stuff in one stroke, but I'm not a one stroke type of guy. Honestly, it's for me. It's for me, if anything else, just because most people, like I said, will never see the underside of this. They'll see the sides for sure, like this and this, maybe this side, if you look at it at the right angle. But, you know, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I'm like, well, I'm here, might as well. That looks, I'd say, a little better. And the one thing that I dislike about these higher end models, or these higher end clarinets, and maybe these razors, is that more often than not, I just find, and I'm not pushing any pressure, I'm just lightly, I find that the razor just gets in that metal. It just scrapes up against it. It makes it hard to just do what you want to do on a key. But that's neither here nor there. So that looks good. This needs a cork. This needs a cork. This needs a felt. This needs cork and felt. This is good. Why was it back in that pile? This is good too. Maybe it could use a little bit of a trim, which I'll happily oblige. Now I already did this one, but guess what? I'm gonna go back for a second round. Especially up front, there's a lot more cork here. And you see how thick this cork is? I only have like 2 sizes of cork, 3 at most. And you get these big corks like that, and you use it on one little thing. Now, the reason why there's this thick a cork is because, do I have another clarinet quick around me? Let me pull one out. So, this is a R13. And you see here, this key has that space and a cork to touch the body, have the key come up just enough, or whatever you want to call it. So, by the way, how freaking amazing, huh? Can you believe I did that? Ain't that great? Now the pink, that's plating wear, and you go too hard, you'll remove more plating. That's not what I did up here. That was already there. But golly, let me see if this other clarinet that I have has a thing that I want to just talk about. If not, we're gonna disregard anything. Here we go. So, here's an E11. It's great that I'm just pulling out clarinets. Okay, so even shinier. Gosh, dazzling, huh? Okay, so on this side, the cork is in the touch piece, and there's a little, you could call it a post. I'm gonna call it a post that contacts that cork, which again controls the porting. And yeah, so if you don't have the post or that spacer, I guess, with cork on the touch piece, you just have to go with full cork. So it's kind of archaic in a way. It's kind of barbaric. No, it's not barbaric, but it is an older thing that you won't see more of in the modern age. Speaking of, this case had some yummy free cork grease. Now, I keep the cork grease because I'm a monster. It's all for me, none for you. So, so let me close these back up. All right, back to it. So, like I said, this is fun. So, we got a oh my god. Gosh. Okay. So, I was gonna say we got a menagerie here. So, once again, I just like to find squares thing that's good. I think I dropped a needle on the floor. So, I will have to bend down and look at it real quick. Look for it. Let me look at the needle as I step on it. That'd be great. So I didn't go all the way through on that. That's fine. I knew it was going to happen because you can tell when something cut all the way through. right there, not really, but enough for me to just pull it. So I'm going to. See, I knew it was gonna pull, so I just pulled it. Now, luckily, we're gonna trim off some of that, so it's not gonna matter in a second. Found the needle, by the way. Let me pick it up with my foot. Very delicately. Boom. Yeah. That is... I kind of like the foot of the... what is this? The FC key to be longer. I like it longer because if it's short, that's great. But sometimes on certain clarinets, certain clarinets, not in brand, but just how they're made, sometimes this foot can just overextend, and it realistically, most clarinets should hit you right in the middle, like that, and then move this however which way you please. But sometimes they'll drift down, especially with age. With age, they'll drift down, and you know. So I like to go longer, so I have more coverage on these keys. And once again, I like to eyeball. I always give myself more width, because not everything is straight. So I think that's a respectable size right there. Goes above and beyond, I'd say. We'll let it fly. Now, here's the big question. Do y'all think I'm going to let these glue or heat them up? Honestly, I used to be a very big fan of heating things up. But more recently, I've just been into the mood and mindset of just gluing. Of gluing everything. Why that is, I could not tell you. Because it was kind of just like an epiphany, almost. Like I just woke up one day and was like, you know what? I'm gonna start gluing things again. I think for me, what does it is with contact cement, it's just so not circumstantial, but I don't know. I've had more corks fall off because of the heat technique than stay on. And so, by the way, I forgot something. I was gonna put some. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do the heat technique. Cause why just say all this stuff and not put it to work? That's a good size right there. Where's my torch? My blazer. Okay. So we're gonna heat it up. We're not super heating it or anything, but definitely want it hot. Once again, be careful with your fingers if you're gonna do that. Like I said, I've touched very, very hot metal before. Well over 400 degrees. Well, just about, maybe more, maybe less. Look up the liquefaction point for solder and silver solder. Soft solder, silver solder, two types of solders. Let's see, what is an easy soft solder on a clarinet? There isn't one, basically. There's nothing you can really heat up and then just pull apart. There is. I lied. You wanna know what it is? It's these. So these are metallic pins. I call them pins because but so these are soft soldered. If you heat up this section, I could do it, but I don't have any more solder to fill back in, so I'm not going to, unfortunately. You just be able to pull this straight out with no disfiguration of any of this. Now that's soft soldering. all of these keys are silver soldered. So no matter what you do, none of this is coming apart, coming off, unless you're really trying to get them off. These are all like individual parts that have been soldered. You can tell, especially on this underside, see? There's notches where they have been put on and then just soldered. You can kind of see the soldering too. See how it's not like flush or uniform? Right there. That's some solder. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, most of everything on woodwinds are, at least key-wise, are silver soldered. So that's neither here nor there. I don't have to do like really any soldering. There's only been 1 or 2 times I've had to solder at home, and neither of them were really like not worth a damn, but you know, it was nothing to talk about, or you know, either way. Boom. Well, shit. See, that's what I mean. That's what I fucking mean. So that's fine. We're gonna do it again. We're gonna heat this up again. We're just gonna stick it back on. Now, I said boom because it felt like it was gonna stick. Now, this time it should stick, but just in case, whenever I cut any cork that's on, I always go down. I always go down, because if you go up, you're gonna lift the cork. No matter what, no matter how good it's glued on, no matter what, you're still gonna be pushing against where it wants to be. It wants to be stuck. It wants to be glued to whatever it's glued to. So always, always, always go down, because it's already down. You know, you can't pull it up, or you can't pull it down, I guess, which you can, I guess, theoretically, but you know, it's not like that. Either way, that is on, and I think that's just swell. So we're gonna continue on. We're gonna chug along. I know I talked about just gluing everything, but well, I've been inspired to use heat, so I'm going to. Did I put that? See how it's like glistening almost on this side? I was like, did I put it on the right side? Like I said, it's late, so I'm kind of doing a whisperish thing. But, you know, I'm not going to be screaming at... What time is it? It's 2:30. 2:30 in the morning. They told me there would be days like this. No. But honestly, I'd rather be up at 2:30 doing something than just sitting around or something. Usually, when I'm doing clarinets or anything off camera, what I'll do is I'll just put on a video. I'll put on any video, multiple videos, anything literally, just to keep my mind occupied, because I hate to say it, more often than not, I'll have to turn off my brain. So we're going to leave this crow's foot to the side for a moment and continue on, because I have something that I'd like to do. Something, I don't know, we're going to experiment a little, because I've done a crow's foot similar to that before. But, by the way, that's what that's called. It's called a crow's foot. To me, it doesn't even look anything like a crow's foot, but that's what they call it. So, okay, that obviously dull, so we're not gonna bother with that. You know, and you're gonna find out that I know a lot of vocabulary, but I really don't know what any of it means, and I know that this thing does the other thing on the other thing, and so, you know, that's really what you're gonna get from me, for the most part. When I activate my brain and I lock in, you'll be like, wow, he knows what he's talking about. I'll be like, yes, yeah, I know I knew what I was talking about. But until then, listen to me ramble. I just like to trim off that back. I say back fat. I like to trim off that back. Just because there's a little fuzzies on it, you can see. It's of no consequence, really. So with most cork, finally, okay. With most cork, you'll find that it's beveled at the end. You're not going to find that here, apparently. But for the sake of making a point, I'll show you. Now, it's not perfect, not by any means of the word, but basically you'll have it at an angle like that. And this is some old-ass cork, I can tell you that right now. From the way I cut it, you know, gosh. Older than I am. Like I said, most of these instruments are older than I am. And that's no fault of their own. And we're going to go with a thicker cork for the 3-ring key too. That's barely going to fit, but oh, look at that. Sticking. It's barely going to fit, but I think it's going to be good enough that I'll be able to trim it down and have no worries. And let's say that it messes up. I'll just try again. I'll do it again. It's a lot of trial and error, but well, it doesn't have to be. You know, if you apprentice under someone and they teach you something, use that way. Always use the way that you were taught, or maybe that's not the right thing to say. Do what you know, but if you're able to experiment, go for it, you know? Shit. I'm trying to think. I know so many sayings and things. Nothing good ever came out of comfort. So if you're comfortable just doing what you're doing, that's all right. But get out of your comfort zone and do something that you normally wouldn't do. And see what happens. Because, you know, think about it. I'm telling you to think about it. It's not for me to explain to you. It's for you to think about it. Think about that. Has anything you've ever done came out of a place of comfort? I mean, I'm sure comforting things are comfort, especially when you're comfortable. But, you know, I don't know. It's called taking a risk, basically. That's what that means. Nothing good ever came out of comfort. It means just get out of your, you know, safe zone and do something. I don't know. Why are you talking to me? Why are you listening to me for any of this? I'm just a fucking guy fixing clarinets, doing clarinets. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt is what I'm saying. So that was pretty good. Well, I say pretty good. That was okay. That wasn't my best cork. That wasn't my best cutting or trim. Bruh. Completely forgot about this. Luckily, it's just glue. So let's find a good spot. Just gonna set up shop right here. That seems good to me. It's really gonna throw a wrench in this whole feng shui, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Ain't no two ways around it. Now let's see, should I chop off more or less? I'm gonna do less and hopefully leave some cork for a later day, for a rainy day. Okay. Make one cut and 2 cuts. This is gonna be so messed up. I was gonna say a bad word, but this is gonna be so messed up. You're gonna be like, what have you done? I'll be like, I did what I had to do. Wow. Oh my god, it's Among Us. Remember that? Wow. And while we're here, there's enough cork for me to do that. Maybe not here, maybe not there. Definitely right there. Because you don't need the whole key. You just need where the the phallic member there goes, because this will go up against it. So we're gonna go for it. We're gonna use fire, because, you know, that's the theme of today's episode. I'm joking. There is no theme. There is no reason. I'm just doing whatever I want. Okay. So this is gonna suck, but we're just gonna cut it diagonally, and we'll use that later. Save it for a rainy day. Now, like I said, usually I use the ends of the tenon cork to do these ones, usually, just because, like, the tenon corks are usually thicker than this, and on top, or thicker than the key cork. And to top it off, there's always excess. Like, I'll just show you. This is just 2 little ones I got off rip. They usually just fit, like, perfectly, you know, right there. So, you know, but in this case, found a little chunk of cork, a little yummy chunk, and we're gonna use it. So, because I haven't opened that bag in who knows how long. I think this will be one episode. I think we'll just do putting cork on. Well, we had disassembly, and then I skipped cleaning and oiling and buffing. And I think this next one, we're gonna do putting pads in and finishing the entire thing. I think that's what I'll do. Just because, I don't know, I'm reaching almost 40 minutes, and, well, I don't want to bore y'all, as far as I know. At least that's not my intention. Sorry if that happens. But for now, I'm just gonna ruin every little piece of work that I've been doing off camera and not have it in camera. Goodness me, oh my. So that's my catchphrase. It's too late. I just don't know. I don't know what to say other than so. So we're just gonna keep saying it. Like I said, in the meantime, I'm gonna ruin all that I've done by, see, and that's the thing. So, life lesson here, maybe life lesson. There's a saying, and it goes, perfection is the enemy of done. I had that key done, and I just ruined it. By going too far. Now, I can save it, so it's not really ruined, but you just gotta add a little bit of a sharper angle, and it'll uniform up. It'll look not too bad. You just have to make sure that it's the same all the way around. As I'm not doing that, you know, lead by example, right? You know what? I have 1,000 razor blades. I don't know why I'm trying to, you know, save them. We're just gonna go real fast. Fast and loose. Now, this is just me, but I always have trouble getting around the tips of keys. That's just, you know, I excel in every other area. I'm infallible. I've never messed up in my life. But when it comes to the tips of keys, I just can't do it. That's my one my one downfall. Now, just to style on everyone, we're gonna add a bevel. That looks not the best, but not the worst either. So, that works for me. Look at all this little scraps I got. I'm just gonna... Alright, now on to second to last key, because I have something in mind for the crow's foot, but I need to see how it'll work. And y'all will venture with me. it'll be an adventure. I'm just silent right now because I'm locked in. Well, kind of. I'm something right now. I'm tweaking. Okay, those first two cuts there, those were really nice. And they were off screen. So, even better.